Number 3. I'm a 22-year-old woman. About a month ago, I was searching Craigslist for a couch for my new apartment. I came across a listing that seemed like a great deal. The pictures showed a couch in amazing condition, and the price was too good to pass up. The seller asked to be contacted via email, which struck me as a little odd, especially given the address, mexicanpoppy666@hotmail.com. It was off-putting, but I messaged him anyway with my offer. He responded almost immediately, within 5 minutes, accepting my offer and asking for my home address. That made me uncomfortable. I didn't want a stranger coming to my house, so I offered to pick it up from him instead. He kept insisting that he bring the couch to me, which only raised more red flags. Eventually, I stopped responding. The next day, he sent me another email with his address. I hesitated, but curiosity and the thought of scoring a great deal got the best of me. His place wasn't far, so I got in my van and drove over. His house stood out. It was noticeably smaller and more run down than the others on the block. A middle-aged man in a baseball cap answered the door with a big, unsettling smile. I stepped inside reluctantly. In the living room, I immediately spotted the couch. It had scuff marks, tears, and was in nowhere near the condition shown in the ad. I mentioned the damage, and he just smiled and offered to lower the price. I told him I wasn't interested and turned to leave. That's when it got creepy. As I was heading for the door, he put his hand on my shoulder and said he'd give it to me for free if I gave him something in return. I froze for a moment, let out a disgusted gasp, yanked away, and practically ran to my car. I drove off without looking back, thinking the nightmare was over. But it wasn't. That same night, I was in bed watching TV when I heard heavy steps on my porch. I muted the TV and clearly heard someone fiddling with the doorknob. I tiptoed to the door and looked through the peephole. No one was there. Then I heard the backyard gate creak open. I grabbed my phone and called 911. As I was on the call, someone started trying the back doorknob. I shouted that the police were on their way, and moments later, I heard the gate slam shut. They were gone. Nothing has happened since then, but I still can't sleep well at night. I'm 99% sure it was the man from the couch ad. He must have followed me home. No way that was a coincidence. I've sworn off Craigslist, and now I'm even thinking about moving again. Number 2. I was shopping for a car for my son's 18th birthday. All the big car sites, Cars.com, eBay Motors, had inflated prices. Craigslist seemed like the best shot at a real deal. About a week into my search, I found a 2003 Toyota Camry. It had just 67,000 miles, no accidents, no visible damage, and it was going for $3,500. It sounded too good to be true. The seller, a man named Bob, lived only 10 miles away. I gave Bob a call. He sounded normal, assured me the car was in great shape. I brought $3,500 in cash, planning to negotiate. I arrived early at his place, a small house tucked away off a dirt road. The garage was open, filled with car parts, but no Toyota Camry in sight. The only car on the property was an old pickup. I knocked on the front door. No answer. I knocked for 5 minutes, then called his number. A ringtone echoed inside the house. Now I knew I had the right place. I peeked through a window but couldn't see much. It was dark. I spotted a dated dining room set and someone standing at the back door. I figured it must be Bob. I knocked on the window. He didn't move. The backyard was open, so I walked around to talk to him. But as I approached, I froze. The figure at the back door wasn't a man. It was a taxidermied human body, posed like it was staring out the door. I ran. I didn't stop until I was back in my car. Just before I drove off, I looked back at the window I'd peeked through earlier. The blinds were now shut, except 2 slats were bent open. Someone was watching me. To this day, I don't know what I walked into, but there was no Camry, and I'm certain Bob never intended to sell me a car. I was probably seconds away from becoming another lifeless figure in that house. Number 1. About a year ago, I found an iPhone 5 on Craigslist for $200. The seller claimed it was in mint condition. He was upgrading to a 5C. I didn't know how to properly check phones, so I brought my younger brother who was more tech-savvy. We agreed to meet late at night in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. A black Honda Civic pulled up and 2 large, intimidating guys stepped out. One handed me the phone. It looked brand new. My brother tested it with my SIM card. Everything checked out. Then the guy asked for $250 instead of the original $200. I lied, said I only had $200. He wasn't thrilled, but took it anyway. We got in our car while they stayed parked nearby. 5 minutes later, we noticed their car was still there. I started driving home, and as I pulled onto the road, so did they. They followed us. Every turn we made, they made too. Close behind. My brother said to pull over, but there was no way I was doing that. At a red light, I floored it through the intersection. My brother yelled at me, but it worked. They didn't follow. We got home shaken, but safe. Later that night, I was setting up the phone when I heard 2 car doors slam shut outside. I looked out the window. The same black Civic was parked across the street. My heart stopped. I ran to wake up my dad and told him everything. He grabbed a bat and waited by the door. Then came a knock. One of the men said he had a gun and would shoot the lock off if we didn't open. My dad told me to call Joe, our neighbor and a police officer. Joe said he'd be right over. Just then, we heard a muffled pop. A bullet had gone through the front door inches from my dad's head. Joe arrived, gun drawn, yelling at them to drop their weapons. They complied. My dad ran out to help, and Joe arrested both of them. It was the scariest night of my life, but I'll never forget the relief and gratitude I felt after.